Okay. So if we could, you can either close your eyes or turn your gaze inwardly. And welcome your experience as it is. A sort of listening without the past, without the future. Being presence. There's no need for you to define yourself in any way in this moment of presence. Notice that there is an aspect of your experience in this moment which appears and disappears, such as thoughts, sensations. As if you're standing or sitting at the bank of a river, and there is the stream, the sound of the river which is flowing by. But you, this aware presence, is not moving. You do not move. And there is no effort involved in this non-movement. And this non-movement is peace. causeless peace. And this causeless peace has no issues whatsoever with the world, the body, or the mind. It is not dependent on anything. When you are this peace, this causeless peace, and this causeless peace has no personal owner. It shines through all minds equally. Although this causeless peace shines across all minds equally, it does not recognize itself equally across all minds. In other words, when I awareness, the reality of consciousness, when the transparency of being, identify myself as a limited personal character, as a limited consciousness. When I believe myself to be a limited mortal being, at that moment, the causeless peace of being is veiled by this belief, by the storyline, by the impression that I am a man, a woman, that I am the body-mind, born in time and space. This belief is the veil that prevents the causeless peace to be knowing of itself. When you perceive yourself as a separate body-mind, you become possessed by the sense of defense and attack, protecting your illusory self, protecting your tribe, protecting your religion, protecting your image. There is no peace in protection. There is no peace in attack. You become under the impression that you are the victim and the victimizer. You are victimized or you are victimizing. And that is an illusion of the sense of separation. While all along you are this transparent presence, the reality of consciousness, awareness. The reality that perceives right now, that is transparent, aware presence. But when you identify yourself as a person, you project other persons into your space and you relate in the world with others under the sense of separation. Your innate wisdom is veiled by this belief. So we take a look. We take a look. Am I that which I imagine myself to be? Am I the image? Am I the bundle of images that I identify myself to be? Am I the set of sensations and feelings that I identify myself with? We need to take a look, don't we? Because the belief that I am a mortal body mind is right there on board. unexamined. We need to investigate. How real, how true is it that I, that which perceives, how true is it that I, awareness, depends on the body-mind? Do I have any proof? Is it my direct experience that awareness is arising out of the body, out of the brain, out of the world? Or is it my experience that I perceive thoughts, I perceive images, I perceive sensations? But I do not perceive I as an object. I do not perceive I as a form. I perceive a form, but I do not perceive I as a form. I perceive the oak tree in the yard. I perceive a thought, but the I that perceives is not perceived. So how could I be a victim if I am the reality which perceives and is not perceived? We need to take a look to understand that we carry along a script, a storyline, a narrative about ourselves, about the world, about others. We carry a narrative. And we believe this narrative. We use this narrative as an indication of that which we are. We are not a narrative. Awareness is not a narrative. So in the direct path, we go directly to the understanding that I refers to universal consciousness, the universal transparency of being, the one reality. And that this reality is not personal. The car in the garage may belong to you. Your bank account may belong to you. But you do not belong to you. You are you. I am. I am is non-objective, right? I have a beautiful house that is objective, phenomenal, but I am. It's not objective. And yet it's undeniable, undeniable. Yes? Whenever you are living your life as a victim, you are under the false illusion. You're under the false impression. The impression that the world out there is victimizing you in here. It is one of the ways in which the sense of separation appears to you. Thoughts about me and them, me and the world, the good and the bad. That is the sense of separation expressing itself in your life. Thought makes all sorts of arguments to solidify this point of view. But at the root of this point of view is the belief that I am a separate self. Yet your experience, this moment and every moment, is non-dual. Take a look. Okay, if there are any questions, please make sure to unmute your mic and we can explore whatever you would like to explore. So any questions? Yes, hello, Huang. Hello. Yes.
First of all, it's a very, very powerful guideline. my input, as I have heard you were saying, to me, it's my perspective. Okay, being present can comprise a subjective experience, which is a subject and object engagement, like the knower and the known. The mind has a natural tendency to grasp hold of something in order to signify its existence. Observing or tending an object as opposed to a transparent abstraction is much easier. Please elucidate my ignorance.
In our experience in this moment, because it's important not to, I don't want to be theoretical. I like to look directly in this moment. So in this moment, there is a perception, there is hearing, there is the breath, there is the sensation of your feet on the ground. And there is a knowingness. There is presence, there is awareness. There are many ways of describing our phenomenal experience, because our phenomenal experience is described via thoughts, via concepts, and via language. There are many ways of describing or classifying our experience. We could say the sensation of my feet on the ground is cold, is warm, is tingling, is dancing. There are many ways of speaking about experience, but there are not many ways of speaking about awareness. There is one way of speaking about awareness, which is awareness is the reality. This is absolute. There is an absolute quality about awareness. It has no color, no shape, no gender, no size, no density, no phenomenal locality. It is not in the north or in the south or in the east. It is, one could say, formless, non-phenomenal. And yet it is undeniable. It's undeniable because it is not possible to experience hearing or sensing or to experience a thought without awareness. So in terms of the mind, by the mind, Hong, I usually speak about thoughts, perceptions, sensations, the phenomenal realm. That's how I refer to the term mind. I don't speak about mind only as thought. I include perceptions, sensations, the activities of mind, perceptions, sensations, and thoughts. So the mind, meaning thoughts, sensations, and perceptions, are perceived, they're known by consciousness, by awareness. By the way, I use the word awareness and consciousness synonymously. I don't make two words, I only make one word. Sometimes I say consciousness, awareness. So what is interesting about the mind is that there are infinite ways in which to categorize it. We look, for example, at language. Language, it's just sounds. And the sounds, via training, we attribute with the sounds an image. For example, when I say car, there is an image associated with the sound car. But in French or in English, they use a different sound. If you say car when you're in Paris, 50% of the people will not understand because they don't speak English. They don't understand the sound. They don't have an image. So the mind can be categorized in so many ways. And it doesn't really matter how we categorize the mind. What matters in terms of the mind, which is our experience, is peace and happiness. Is peace and happiness. So sometimes we have arguments about the mind, about the world. It should be like this. No, it should be like that. No, we should vote for this. No, we should, I don't know. And then the peace is no longer there. Because we are looking at the mind and we're trying to make the peace in the mind. But it doesn't matter how the mind is manifesting itself. What matters is the peace. But the peace doesn't come from the mind. It comes from understanding, you see. Understanding about the self, about consciousness, you see. The understanding about truth, about reality. And there is one truth, one reality. It's not a separate. An American reality and a French reality and a Japanese reality and an Arabic reality. No, there's only one reality. In our understanding about the one reality, the mind gets a wisdom. The wisdom come on into the mind. And then the mind can enjoy the wisdom and express the wisdom. It's expressed in the mind by peace. We feel the peace, harmony, intelligence. We experience beauty, and we experience the end of the judgment, end of the personal psychological separation, you see. So I don't know if I spoke outside of your question, Hong. I just was speaking how I understood.
This is so extremely well said, and what I understood in my different perspective looking into matter is that we don't separate the mental dissociation, which is each of our individuals, with the consciousness. Yes. The peace, the happiness and the equanimities, that would be a mental factor that arise from the mind according to Buddhist Abhidharma. And all of those emerges from the consciousness. So the union, the oneness between the consciousness and the mind, they are together. As I understood what you tried to convey, and I'm looking at in an angle of materialism to go into the idealism. That's what I understood. I don't know if I understand what you try to.
Yes. I like the metaphor of the waves. The waves are made out of water. Every wave seems different, a different height, different shape, different wave, but all the waves are made out of water. The essence is water. The reality of the wave, I use that word reality. I like the word reality because you cannot mess around with reality. Well, maybe you can, but the reality of the wave is water. So in terms of the mind and the body, they're like various shapes of the various type of wave, long wave, big wave, whatever. But the reality of the wave is water. And to come to that understanding, when that understanding comes to us, that there is, in my experience, many different waves, many different perceptions, thoughts, many different events, many different memories, many different images. And that the reality of all these manifestations is water, is consciousness. When that understanding arises within you, within consciousness, because you are consciousness, it's your reality. When that understanding arises, that I am this water appearing as waves also, many different waves. But my reality, your reality, the reality of all the waves, a billion waves is one reality, water. That understanding is the understanding of the reality of our totality, of the oneness, the wholeness of being, the one light, whatever way. There are so many ways of speaking. What matters is not so much we speak it so many different ways, but what do we mean? What we are talking about is the one peace, one freedom, one joy, one love, one reality. And in our conditioning, the conditioning about take care of yourself, build for yourself, get the best for yourself, your family, your tribe, that conditioning is a different direction. That conditioning, our conditioning says, wave A, you are part of wave A, you are not part of wave B. Wave B, you are not part of wave C. Tribe A is not, you are the tribe A. You are not tribe B. You are a different tribe. Because of the conditioning, our tendency is to perceive and experience separation. And the separation, we experience it within ourselves. When there is separation, I experience unhappiness within myself. I experience maybe isolation, or a sense of a depression, or a lack of love, or maybe some envy, or some sense of incompleteness incompleteness or a sense of lack, I experience it within myself. And these experiences are unhappy. And unhappiness is not what we love. We love peace and happiness.
I think that thought creates separation. Thoughts brings about suffering. Going back to experience, if we can only experience without perpetuating thoughts, then it would be a perfect description of oneness. Right there, that would be because of experience, the sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, only experience that has something association with the unconditional, and we don't rely on the conditional physicalities, stimulation. Then we are in touch base with happiness. It could have been a real happiness because of this is the unconditional happiness. It doesn't come from anything that, in terms of speaking of materialistic. So,
yes, well, it's true. I mean, happiness only comes from happiness. It doesn't come from anywhere else.
Very well said right there,
yes.
Sir.
Yes, but I want to just say one thing about thought, if you allow me. There is the human mechanism, the human entity is endowed with a capacity, like an organism, the machine is endowed with the capacity to perceive, to act. I can move my arms, and to also perceive thoughts, perceive thoughts. There are, I make a distinction between thought and belief. Now, if thought, for example, could be innocent, like the thought today is Sunday and it's not raining, for example, is our sounds, words, concepts, and it's a thought. Or the thought, I love my mother, is also an innocent thought. Or the thought, you know, my car is a yellow Toyota, is an innocent thought. So there is a thought. The process of thinking has a functional purpose. For example, the thought that there is no more fruits in the refrigerator, and today is Sunday, the market closes at 5 o'clock. I need to go shopping before 5 o'clock. I should leave no later than 4 o'clock. All these are thoughts. So there is functional thought, which has its place in our experience. There is also a creative thoughts, the artistic thoughts or the creative thoughts. And there is, of course, also the contemplative thoughts, the thoughts about what is my true nature, what is the reality of my experience, what are feelings, what is perception. These are contemplative thoughts. There is one type of thought that is the problem, let's say, that type of thought, which sometimes I call it ignorance, that type of thought is more of a belief. Is the belief that I, meaning consciousness or awareness, is the body-mind, is a mortal body-mind, and that I, awareness, consciousness, depend on the body-mind. I am born, I arise out of the brain, or I arise out of the world, you know, both the idealist model or the materialist model. The belief that I is consciousness is limited and personal. That when we have this belief, most of us have this belief. When we have this belief, we don't examine it because we inherited it from when we are young. And when we are young, we are trustful. We're very trustful. So we are like the sponge. You know, you take the sponge, you put it in the water, it's going to absorb the water. When we are the innocent mind, the young mind, we absorb ignorance. So we believe we are a person, a mortal body mind, you see. So at a certain time in our maturity, because we are so unhappy, there are so many things in our life, for some of us, we start to investigate. We start to investigate the belief, not so much the thought, because the belief is a thought, but that has not been investigated, that has no validity. Like the belief, we used to believe the earth was flat. We had no proof of that, but we had no proof otherwise. So instead of saying, well, I don't know if the earth is flat or curved or whatever, we chose the belief the earth is flat. But now we know it's not true. So it's a belief is based on no proof, no validation. It is better to remain unknowing, to remain not knowing is a better step than the belief. So in quotes unquote the mind, the problem is the belief. So it is encouraged to go from belief to not knowing. Not to replace belief A with belief B, or belief A with belief C. No, because it's the same. Belief is belief. Instead, we say, okay, if you have no validation, then you go from belief to not knowing. Not knowing is openness. Not knowing is, okay, I don't know, and I am open to information. I will look at the information, and I will analyze the information. And based on the analysis of the information, maybe I decide, oh yes, the earth is flat. Or no, the earth is not flat, is round, is spherical, you see. So this is in the issue of our mind. Thought has its place. It is ignorance or belief that is the problem.
All of which you have mentioned earlier, the functional, the creative, the contemplate, and the believe. They all go into what you have just said prior to we call the narrative, a mental narration. And I'm going to the reality of myself, okay?
Yes, yes. Yes.
I cannot stop narrating mentally And I have to admit that I don't have a clear mind all the times. You know, the recitation of all of which you have mentioned, functional thoughts, creative thought, contemplative thoughts, and belief thoughts. They alter to comment about. I have no other choice than accepting it and allow it to be there, without creating any no more further problem for myself.
Yes. Yes.
Because I know this for myself, that this is a mental habit. So I accept this, let it be right there without attachment.
Yes.
And to tell you the truth, of course, that I fail way much more than I win over.
Right. We all do, don't worry.
And since you mentioned about not knowing, I happened to write down something a couple hours ago about the don't know mind, but I lost the sketch. So I just I must paraphrase what I try to remember, that when we say we don't know, we have to stop our curiosity. Otherwise, when the mind say it, I don't know, then the mind try to find a different way to understand, to put it into perspective of its own fitting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so instead of being completely silent, it goes in a different way. It's not silent as it's innocently don't know. So the complete silence of innocent, then that would be the right way in saying don't know, instead of don't know and then maybe yes of this, maybe yes of that or so.
Right. So yes, I think I get the feeling of what you are saying, that the don't know has to be sincere. In other words, I took a look at the belief that consciousness is personal and dependent on the mind, or dependent on the brain, or dependent on the world. I took a look, and I cannot find, I haven't been able up to now to find any validation for that belief. So because I have looked and I am interested, I'm interested in imposing my belief. I'm looking for validation for the belief. I have no bias. I am open to get the data. And I've looked, I have not found the data that validates that consciousness is personal and limited. As a result of that, I am at a junction now. I am at a junction where, in all honesty to myself, I just cannot say yes or no. I cannot. So I am at the edge, at the seesaw. Like I'm like at that junction where I just don't know. I don't know if consciousness is personal or is universal. I don't know. And that place of not knowing is an important place, because you have stepped out from the belief because you've investigated it. And right now you're neither in this camp nor in that camp.
I totally concur with that, because belief is conditional accumulation from external stimuli. So we have to negate that belief in order to find the real essential truth from within.
Right, and the belief falls out of it ceases to be a belief of itself on its own. Like if you investigate it, and up to now you have not found any validation, you are not negating. In fact, you're not negating, you are neutral. Because even in negating, you are neutral. You are neutral because you don't know which way to go. You don't have a direction, you see. You don't have a data that is telling you, here is the proof. Here is the proof. We have demonstrated that consciousness arises out of your brain, you see. You don't have that. And you don't have the proof either that here it's proven that consciousness has no borders. You don't have a proof. So you are at the place of not knowing.
Oh, and the process. What I try to convey is that the process of negation is a temporary means to enter the reality of the essence. You know, we at the preliminary stage, we have to use some kind of effort to go into it to look for at least some kind of empirical evidence.
Yes.
In order to ascertain that, okay, this is what it is.
Yes, we are like a scientist. We are studying. Yes. We are studying, and yeah, it takes a quite of interest and dedication to investigate. You say it's you have to actively investigate. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because when you don't investigate the belief, then the belief is still on board.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, yes. So in a way, we speak about that. And we also then we can go to another direction, another step, a different conversation. The conversation is, I know I am aware. That's a fact. It's not a belief, oh, I believe I'm aware. It's a fact, I'm aware. That's a fact. We have to agree, not because Hong said it or Magdi said it, or no, we have to agree because it is our experience. If it is our experience, then we don't need to ask anybody. We don't need to ask our priest, our guru, our teacher, our mother. We don't need to ask anybody. We know I am aware. So that's a fact. For me, it's very clear. I am aware. I am aware. Then I ask myself, what is it in my experience, in this moment? What is it that is aware? Is it the body that is aware? Is it the mind that is aware? In my experience, what is it that is aware? I pose the question. And when I pose the question, I am open. Why? Because I pose the question. I am not posing the question and I already have the answer. That's not a good way to ask a question. I ask the question and I'm open. I know I am aware, that's a fact. What is it in my experience that is aware? So I look, I ask myself, is it the body that is aware? So when I ask this question, the next question that arises immediately is, what is the body? When I say, is it the body that is aware? What is the body? In my experience, not a theoretical, I open the encyclopedia under B and I read the body is ... No, what is the body in my experience? So in my experience right now, my experience of the body is, for example, sensation. The sensation of my feet on the ground, of my back, bodily sensations, and images. There are also images. And perceptions. If I look, I see up. So the body, in my experience, is perceived as sensations, images, and perceptions. So the body, I say, aha. So the body is something, whatever, something I perceive. I perceive the body. So then the question is, I come back to the first question. I am aware. What is it? What is it that is aware? Is it the body? The body, I perceive the body. That which I perceive does not perceive. I perceive the body. I am aware of the body. The body is a perceived form. A form does not perceive. I perceive. So I go, aha.
The consciousness.
Yeah, yes, the consciousness. I say, so therefore I am aware. The I does not refer to the body. So I say, it's not the body. Then I ask myself, is it the mind that perceives? The same thing. I say, well, what is the mind in my experience right now? The mind is thoughts, images. So I perceive thoughts and images. I perceive mind, the mind. So therefore, the mind, which I perceive, does not perceive. It is I, consciousness, that perceives. Anyways, I go through this investigation, this reasoning, and I come to the conclusion, okay, it is not the body that is aware. It is not the mind that is aware. It is I that is aware. And then I say, what is I? I is awareness, consciousness. This question answers itself. It answers itself. Why? Because this question is arising from the answer. In other words, this question is arising from awareness itself. It answers itself.
You investigate through the introspection.
Yes.
Very, 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 and it's quite coincidence that a couple of days ago that I went into the same process which you have just described, and I came to conclude myself that the awareness, the consciousness, is something other than this physical body mind, and it's quite a dramatic insight that I perceived that it's
yes. Another way of saying it, Hong, is that the water is not the wave.
Yes.
Wave,
yes.
The wave is made out of water. Water is not made out of waves, but the wave is made out of water.
Yes. The waves and the whirlpools and the ripples or whatever forms in the water is not. It's not the water, but the water can form the waves.
Yes. That's an important understanding. Yes.
Magdi?
Well, Hong. Yes, thank you, Hong. Yeah, nice talking with you. Thank you, nice to meet you too. Very lovely. Yes, somebody who was asking a question?
This is John. I have been listening.
Hello,
I
John.
haven't been here for a while.
Yes.
And I'm glad you're still here being you.
Yes.
I hear what you're talking about, and it seems contradictory to the idea of non-duality.
Okay.
In that I think that the awareness that I have now, I inherited from a few moments ago, and from the 3/4 of a century of a moment ago's. And in the same way that I have a sense of having a physical body and its senses for me, and my mind or my awareness senses my thoughts, describes an analogy to an onion, I guess, and that I expand my awareness through other people to their existence and their perceptions, all of which tells me that I am not just an awareness. I'm a blend of that awareness and the perceptions and the sensations and the appreciations of the lives around me and the deaths around me. And I guess perhaps by analogy, my body is composed of trillions of microbes and human body cells, all living their lives. And my awareness of their awareness is limited at best. I understand their function, and I can imagine them performing much like I do in society. Society is not aware of my existence in particular, any more than I'm aware of my microbes, my microbiome's existence and its awareness, if there is any. I see a tree living a life, intersecting with the earth through its roots and the sky through its leaves and branches, sharing its part of the physical universe that exists, that seems to exist around us. And as I don't really own my car, in that it's not part of me, when I drive it, my existence expands to include it, especially if I were to like bump into something or drive through a traffic light. It becomes a part of my existence on this earth. And I don't see how I can separate that from some nuclear awareness that I have of all of that being combined into one big tangle with my environment and the people around me.
Okay, John. So how do you define awareness? Just so that I just want to make sure that we're using the same language, so that I'm not using the word awareness, consciousness in a different way in which you are using it. So I could ask you, how do you define awareness? Or if you would like, I could share with you how I define the term awareness when I use it, whichever way you choose.
I guess that I use awareness sort of flexibly. Sometimes I feel that it's focused on one layer of that onion, and sometimes it's not focused at all. I find, especially if I'm dealing with a situation or distracted by
how do you define it? How, when you say awareness, like right now, let's say, when you say awareness, what are you referring to?
When you ask that, maybe I'm thinking of awareness as focus.
Okay. So You want to give me an example in this moment, for example?
Well, a moment ago, while you were speaking, I was focused on the way your words
Okay,
built ideas,
got you. Okay.
and we're trying to
Yeah.
pass something on to me.
Yes.
And now I'm thinking about the way I'm going to phrase my
Yes.
understanding of that.
Yes, I got you. Okay, okay. So I think this may be. Hold on a moment. This may be where we may have some confusion. It may be helpful to just take a moment to talk together about how I use the term awareness versus how you use the term awareness. Because in hearing what you just shared with me, I use the term focus of mind or focus of attention to describe what you just termed as awareness. For me, when I use the term awareness consciousness, I'm referring to whatever it is in this moment that perceives, the reality that perceives. And I would add the reality that is. So I would say, I use the term consciousness/awareness to refer to whatever it is in this moment that is truly perceiving. As different from the content of mind or the activity of mind. For example, right now I use the term mind to refer to perception, hearing, perceiving the screen, sensing my feet on the ground. And I use the term focus of the mind or focus of attention in that right now I am, let's say effortlessly, but you can drop the word effortlessly. I am focusing on expressing to you and with you how I use the terms mind, attention, and awareness/consciousness. So I feel that there is a main difference in the way we are using the language, the words, John. Quite an important difference.
Sounds like you're referring to the focus when it is restricted as possible to the self-thought awareness.
No, right now I'm aware of this perception. I'm aware of seeing on the screen the name John, in parentheses, JB, aware of this perception. I'm also aware that I'm aware. I'm also aware if I turn my attention to the light in this room, I'm aware of the light in this room. So whatever it is that perceives is what I refer to as awareness. But it's, as I look at it, I find that awareness is that which is looking, that which is perceiving, the reality that perceives thoughts, perceptions, and sensations. Thoughts, perceptions, and sensations are more like the content of the mind, or the activities of the mind, or the
They are the perceptions.
I'm sorry?
They are the perceptions themselves.
Yes, the perceptions, sensations, and thoughts, I put them all together in one bundle as being perceptions, or I use the term mind to refer to not just thoughts, but I include sensations and perceptions. So the term mind, at least in the way I use the word, refers to the world, meaning perceptions, the body, which means sensations, and the mind, which means thoughts, images. So there is the content of mind, but there is a reality that perceives. There is something in this moment that perceives this perception. That is what I refer to as awareness.
May I please?
Yes, I'm not sure, John, I'm not sure, Hong, John, did you, Hung wanted to share something. Are you open to that, or?
Sure. I guess the idea that there is a distinction between I think in your term, the awareness that I've inherited from my previous living is part of a process that carries my interest, my experience of life. That sort of tangles it with memory. And
John, that which we've inherited is what I refer to as mind. We've inherited the genes, we've inherited all sorts of conditioning about, I'm from this country, I'm like that, I'm supposed to live this. Whatever we've inherited is the mind. We haven't inherited consciousness or awareness. Awareness is not something we inherit, is that which I am. I is awareness. I am aware. You don't inherit awareness, you inherit conditioning, you inherit mind, you inherit body, you inherit money, you inherit beliefs, possibly. So the content of the mind is inherited, and we continue it continues to change. But we don't inherit awareness. I think we need to spend a little time talking about that, because it's definitely not the way I'm using the term awareness. Awareness is non-objective. What you inherit are objects. You inherit beliefs, you inherit money, you inherit ideas, you inherit DNA, you inherit, a certain religion. Like maybe you inherit Islam or Christianity, but you don't inherit awareness.
That makes sense.
Sorry, Hong, one moment. I think this is an important conversation, because to clarify, this is an important, but hold on, Hong, I'd like to hear what you have to say, but I just want to make sure that we are speaking in the same language, John and I, because it's important to get clarity around the language, and then we can go further into it. So I feel, John, that this conversation we're having is an important conversation about how we're using the terms, and so that we can speak the same language in a way.
Maybe another analogy would help me express my understanding a bit.
Yes.
Perhaps to a candle.
A candle.
A candle.
Yes, a candle. Okay.
Candle has a body. It can be developed. If you have ever made candles, you have a wick, and you dip it down into the wax, and then you pull it out, and you put it in, you take it out, you pull it in, take it out.
Yes.
And you build layers of experience.
Yes.
But it's all focused on the wick.
Yes.
The wicked center of the candle is what can provide light by drawing on the energy of that body. And that light is
the match that gives the light. But anyways, okay, continue. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go on with your metaphor.
But the burning wick, the living wick,
yes.
is what provides the metabolism for existence.
Yes. Okay.
And the body and mind that surround it provide the fat, the energy, the distinctiveness.
Yes.
That awareness experiences.
Yes, I got the analogy. But if you, I get the analogy, John. If you look at your experience in this moment, the wax, and I'm going to use your analogy, and correct me when I'm done if I misuse your analogy. So the wax, in the way I perceive it, is the all sorts of experiences. Some of them are contemplative experience. Some experiences are gathering experiences. Some experiences are shedding experiences. So there is the world, body, mind, which is full of experiences, which is a world of experiences. And in your analogy, the wick is sort of within the wax, or at the center of the wax, and it's giving it gives the light, and the wax is what sort of gets consumed as the wick gives the light. But if you look at your experience, John, you will find that in fact the world, meaning perceptions, because the world is made out of perceptions, the body, which is made out of sensations, and the mind, which is, let's say, made out of thoughts and images. You, meaning consciousness, does not appear inside the world or inside the body or inside the mind. It's the other way around. The image, perception, appears within awareness. Right now, this perception is appearing to you, is appearing within you, awareness. You do not appear, you the weak, you the weak, you do not appear within the perception. The perception appears within you. The sensation, let's say you have a, God forbid, a toothache. You do not appear inside the toothache. The toothache appears within you, awareness. You perceive. Awareness is the reality that perceives. And that reality is, as you take a look at it, which we haven't done yet, at least in this conversation, has no form and no shape, has no borders. There are no edges around it. It has no gender. There are no names that can describe it. It's not called John or Magdi. It's nameless and formless. So the world, body, mind appear within awareness. Awareness does not appear within the world, body, mind. That's an important point I wanted to share. The other point I want to share, staying on the same topic, is that the world, body, mind, meaning perceptions, sensations, thoughts, images, appear within awareness, but they appear at zero distance from awareness.
I find that actually quite enlightening. I was just listening to a presentation by Neil Tyson, an astrophysicist, I think, describing multidimensional beings, trying to explain the 10 or 12 direct dimensions of quantum mechanics. And he described a two-dimensional being trying to perceive a sphere passing through his existence. And what that two-dimensional being would see is a dot, and
yes,
then a circle growing into a larger circle, and then growing into a smaller circle, and into a dot again as the sphere passes through.
Yes.
So that consciousness, the consciousness that I experience is only that two-dimensional being's perception of the sphere. All I know of my consciousness is the part that touches me in my body.
That's very, very interesting what you're saying, John, because it's true that this particular body-mind is based, using the analogy of a two-dimensional field, is a narrow field, is a limited instrument that has only a certain range of perception. That is true of the instrument. Like, for example, a particular binocular, 10x binocular, when you use a 10x binocular, you can only see magnification times 10 which is not 100x. There is 100x binocular, which gives you 100x magnification.
But you see less of whatever you're aimed at.
I'm sorry, you?
100x, you see less of what you're aimed at.
Oh,
But
right.
I see your point.
Right.
Our instrument is limited in what it can perceive, and it only perceives.
Absolutely.
I'm only aware of its perception of my own existence.
But wait. Although the instrument is limited in the field of mind, the mind is, a particular mind is limited. The awareness that perceives, in other words, the bird watcher, although the binoculars is a limited instrument, this does not mean, in the metaphor, that the bird watcher assumes the limitations of the binoculars. So consciousness, awareness, is not limited by the mind, although the mind, there are infinite minds, are limited in their sphere of I use the metaphor, I sometimes use the metaphor of the grid, you know, the electric grid. Electric grid, as a metaphor, is a excitation of electrons and molecules or whatever throughout, let's say, throughout the town. And there are 1,000 light bulbs. Some light bulbs are 20 watt, others are 80, others are 60. Some are fluorescent, some are neon. Although every bulb is limited in its in the light that it sheds and the frequency of illumination, this does not mean that the grid is limited. It's an important distinction between mind and awareness.
I understand you're talking about the grid as being the awareness.
Yes, as a metaphor. Or like H2O, when you use water, for example, the wave, every particular wave is limited. One wave is 1 foot tall, another wave maybe 10 foot tall and much wider. But the awareness, H2O, although one wave is 1 foot tall, another wave is 10 foot tall, it has no representation whatsoever about the water.
I guess I have seen that analogy before as being representative of the way in which our own bodies are temporarily constituted by whatever we happen to be passing through. The ocean has living beings in it, and those beings participate in the wave as the wave passes through. And I've often found that a calming and enjoyable understanding. But I see it as different if you're thinking of the ocean itself as being the awareness and the individual creatures within it just manifestations and focuses of sensation and existence.
In fact, John, in the ocean, there are no separate selves, because when you take a look at your own experience, you don't find a separate self. You find perception, sensation, thoughts, and you obviously find awareness. You find sensations, a conglomeration of sensations, which we refer to as a body, which your mom and dad called John, which you perceive. There is no problem with the naming this, whatever it is, you're naming this body, mind, John. But when you take a look at a separate creature, you only find a separate creature as a concept. what you do not find as a concept. In other words, what you do find as reality is awareness. And awareness does not have a name, John. A bundle of images and sensations and memories we refer to as John, which is fine. But in your contemplation of awareness, you find that you are the awareness, the reality that perceives this moment, but you are not limited to the objects that you perceive. You're not defined by that which you perceive. Although your mind is very particular, and my mind is very particular, I am not defined by the shape and colors and sounds that I perceive. Equally, you, the same I, the same awareness, are not defined or limited by the shape and size and name of the body-mind and the perceptions and sensations that arise. What seems to limit us is the belief that I am limited, the belief that I am a particular mind. That belief, when that belief is on board, it creeps into the feeling state. And then, as a consequence, we feel that we are limited and mortal. So that's where the sense of limitation, the sense of mortality, and of course all the negative emotions, the worry, the sense of lack, all of that arise from the belief that I, this awareness, this borderless awareness, am a mortal body-mind.
I suppose that's where I got confused by the semantics of awareness. I am aware of stuff. That process of awareness seems to be in your mind distinct from the vehicle of awareness. That is the power network.
Yes.
That is the awareness tool or the process itself.
Yes, yes. Well said, John. Yeah, well said, well said. One of the things that I have found helpful in my contemplation, John, has been to the realization that the I that is aware is awareness itself. In other words, it is awareness that is aware. And that awareness is I, but not the bundle of memories and sensations that I call Magdi. No, that is I, awareness, is aware of this perception, and of course is aware that it is aware. Awareness is aware that it is aware.
I guess I got confused by the word I as being distinct and unique.
Right.
Whereas the awareness is not distinctive or unique. It is universal.
Right.
And the I that I generally refer to as me is unique, just like anybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, every body, mind, every form is unique in a way. It's a unique configuration, a unique a unique configuration of the whole, because of course there is nothing separate. In other words, this body is not separate from the universe. It's not separate from the air. It's not separate from gravity. It's not separate from the the cosmic radiation. It's not, but it's a particular configuration, like a wave. A wave is a particular, unique configuration, but that But that's just referring to the body-mind, not to I awareness. There's only one I, at least in my language. I don't use I in any other way. I always stick with I as the reality of awareness, of consciousness.
You don't tell the DMV that I own a car.
I am also quite diplomatic when the need arises. John, don't worry. I've been around the what is it? Around the park? No, I've been around
the block.
The block. I've been around the block, so I know how to play the game.
Okay, so the semantics is what tripped me up, I guess. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, John. That was I find I find this to be a really good conversation between us. Thank you. Nice to be with you this way. Sorry to have cut you off, Hong, because I felt that we needed to sort of really go into that together with John, because it's a good topic for everybody. Anyways, any questions?
Yeah, hi, Magdi.
Hey, George. Hello, George.
Hello there.
Yeah.
I feel kind of stupid asking this question, but I have there's a sense here of a separate self, which I know I know there's no sense. So I have this sense of a separate self. And I also have this sense of awareness. And how do I distinguish?
Hmm.
There aren't two senses. There's almost like one sense. But how do I, how do I distinguish experientially?
Yes. Well, the sense of separate self and the sense of awareness, they're both senses, they're both sensations.
Right.
The sense of awareness is not awareness. It is a sensation, a sense, whichever way you describe the sense, a feeling, an inkling, whatever, but it's not awareness. Awareness is not a sense. Sensing something, whichever way you word the term sense, is phenomenal. So the sense of personal self is you experience that. I'm just going to presume you experience it as a feeling and a thought, a bodily sensation and a thought, an image or a thought or a story.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Both the bodily sensation is an appearance. Sometimes I use the term an image on the screen. It's an appearance. And similarly, the narrative is also an image. A script on the paper is an image on the screen. Now, you ask how to distinguish between that and the sense of awareness. Sense of awareness, you're experiencing something, which you're referring to as a sense of awareness, while awareness is not a sense. So you're perceiving an image on the screen, some sort of image. Maybe it's a psychedelic image, or maybe it's a transparent image, but it's still an image. Transparent image, that's funny. But yes, so there is, neither, George, neither the sense of awareness or the sense of being a separate self are different. They're just like, what's the difference between the color yellow and the color red? They're different vibrations of light, okay? But they're both vibrations of light, right? They're both different frequencies, huh? Yeah, they're both frequencies of light. So your question doesn't basically just referring to frequencies of light. Now, awareness is whatever it is that truly perceives and hearing these words right now. I am hearing these words, you see. And that I that is hearing these words has no name, is not called George, because the George is an instrument. There is an instrument called George, a body-mind instrument. But that which hears, that which perceives, is not the instrument. The binoculars do not perceive George. So you are asking about awareness or consciousness. That which is asking is awareness itself.
Okay, maybe that last point is what I need to look at, because you asked the question, you know, what is aware? Okay, and you know, it's not the body and it's not the mind. It's all that's really clear to me, and it almost seems that the answer is, well, nothing is aware. That is, there is no entity.
No, there is no
Which
entity.
is aware. There's awareness is here. Awareness is awareness is present. Presence is
Yes.
present.
Yes, but the question
But I
is,
can't find the entity. I can't find the entity that's
Correct.
aware.
correct. But I am aware is undeniable, right?
Awareness is here, is undeniable.
Okay, awareness is here, so there is awareness is undeniable, right?
Undeniable, right.
Undeniable. So if there is awareness, if in the room, you open the door, you get into the room, and there is awareness, the only thing that is, quote unquote, aware is awareness itself.
Okay, that's where I get lost. Awareness is here, but I can't conclude from that there is something, an entity which is aware. You know, just for example, seeing is here.
Yes.
Okay, no one, you know, but is there an entity that sees? I can't find one.
Right.
So the same problem with awareness. Awareness is here. There's no doubt about that. But I can't find that entity. That's where, and maybe it's not important. I don't know.
But no, it is. It's important to get the language. It helps with the understanding. If you pay attention, I'm often sharing that in our experience, when we look for a separate perceiver, we do not find a separate self. We do not find
Obviously.
a separate,
I agree. Totally.
we don't find a separate awareness. This does not mean that there is no awareness. There is no separate awareness. But obviously there is awareness. You just said a minute ago, there is awareness. Awareness,
Yes.
I forgot which way you said it. Whichever way you said it sounded good to me. Whatever awareness is, or there is awareness, whatever, whichever way you said it sounds good. And you are correct in that there is no separate awareness. There is no separate self. There is no separate self that is aware. But yet, we cannot deny awareness. Awareness is, and the only thing, which is not a thing, which is aware, is awareness itself. Aware,
Okay.
aware.
I'm totally with you except for that very last sentence. So maybe I just need to think about this. Now, it's clear to me their awareness is here. It's clear to me there's no separate self that is aware. Okay, you and I agree on that. Okay,
Right.
Where I'm a little bit stuck. Awareness is here, but does that mean that there's awareness? Somehow the word awareness is what's sticking me. It seems like awareness is a concept that doesn't really refer to anything.
Right. Okay. Forget about the concept. It's true. There is a concept which is called awareness, but we are using awareness in terms of our experience, the fact of awareness. That the fact of now there is awareness. We're not.
The fact of awareness is obvious to me.
Right. I mean, we have to use language, George, and so therefore we have to use concepts. But we're only using the words not to have a conceptual discourse. We're using the word awareness to refer to our direct experience of awareness, to the fact. How about to the fact of awareness?
No doubt, fact of awareness. I have no problem with that.
Awareness is a fact, and awareness is made out of. Okay, I'm gonna put my foot in my mouth here, but let me go ahead. Maybe it will be helpful. Awareness is made out of zillions of awareness particles.
Okay.
Shoot, what did I say? Okay, it's made out of zillion of awareness particles. Okay, so therefore, all there is within awareness is awareness particles. Awareness is made out of awareness. It's awareness that is aware. It is awareness that is aware.
Okay.
It's
All right.
it's made, like the water is wet because it's made out of water. The ocean is the ocean because it's made out of ocean. It is the awareness is aware because it is aware. It is made out of awareness. Well, anyways, think about it. I don't know how else I can.
No, that's I'll just think. I mean, there can be nothing that can be aware other than awareness.
Think of it this way, George. If there is anything else that is aware besides awareness,
there's nothing else.
It would be non-awareness or not awareness. It would be not awareness that is aware.
Look, I agree with you. There is nothing else.
Good night, John.
That is aware other than, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You follow either that two possible candidates for awareness. Either it is awareness or not awareness. Is there a third choice besides awareness or not awareness? Not awareness cannot be aware. What remains is awareness.
Okay. Thank you, Magdi.
Did I get away with this one?
I'm a little bit I'm just a little bit confused here, and I'm going to have to just live with my confusion for now. Okay. So I appreciate this. Thank you.
All right, George. All right. Thank you. That's an important point because you know, in our confusion, we believe there is something else that is aware, like the body or me, or that there is an entity that is aware. But in fact, there is no entity. There is only one candidate. There's only one reality, which is consciousness, awareness, consciousness, presence. There's only one game in town. All right.
Yes, thank you. I totally agree with that. Yes, thank you.
Lovely to be with you all, Holger and Trish. Thank you, George. And
thank you, Magdi.
yes, you're welcome, George, Patrick, and Hong. Nice to meet you, Hong. Very lovely to be with you. Mina, hello, Mina. Zoe, hi, Zoe. Frank.
Thank you.
Frank is sitting. Oh, hello to Mom. Wonderful. Please give Mom our greetings. Yes, wonderful. Okay. Lauren, hello, Lauren. And Grace, hi, Grace. Lisa, hello, Lisa. Nice to meet you today. John, hello, John. And Marga. Thank you all. Very lovely to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you. Thank you, Magdi.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Magdi.